Hello, this is lesson 5.1. We're going to be talking about writing linear equations from situations and graphs. And the good news is you've already been doing this somewhat, so it shouldn't be anything new for you. So let's get started. Okay, writing linear equations from situations and graphs. So the standards you're working on is I can write an equation in slope-intercept form, and I can write an equation from a graph or a description. So your standard is F4, construct a function to model a linear relationship between two quantities. Determine the rate of change and initial value of the function from a description of a relationship or from two x, y values, including reading these from a table or from a graph. And you have done all of this already. Should sound familiar. Interpret the rate of change and initial value of a linear function in terms of the situation it models. We have also done that. And in terms of its graph or a table of values. So we are just going to do more of that. I'm going to minimize myself so that you get the full screen here. So let's write them in our equations in slope-intercept form. So Greta makes clay mugs and bowls as a gift at the craft studio. She pays a membership fee of $15 a month and an equipment fee of $3 an hour to use the potter's wheel, table, and kiln. Write an equation in the form y equals mx plus b that Greta can use to calculate her monthly costs. So all of these problems are going to be the same. You'll look at the format, and once you have the format down, they'll be pretty easy to pick out what goes where. And you may already know this. Some of you have probably already been thinking, oh, I already know how to do this, right? So the membership fee is $15 per month. That sounds like a rate to me. And then there's an equipment fee of $3 an hour. Okay, that sounds like a different kind of rate to me. So we want to calculate her cost, but only for 1 month. So for 1 month, this is going to be a fixed amount, right? It's not a fixed amount if you figure it out for a year, but for 1 month, $15 is going to be the only cost if she doesn't rent the equipment. If she rents the equipment, this rate is going to apply, $3 an hour. So let's take a look. So x is going to be our dependent variable always, and it's called the input variable. You probably haven't heard me use the word input yet. We're going to be getting into our function unit next. So then we're going to be talking more about inputs and outputs. So x is your input variable, and we've done that many times. We've input a number for x into an equation and solved for y. And y, as you know, is your independent variable, but it's also called your output variable. That's the answer you get when you plug in a number for x in an equation. Let me clear my red here. So we highlighted what we needed. Membership fee of $15 for a month, equipment fee of $3 per hour, and then our question is write an equation in the form y equals mx plus b. Everybody should be familiar at this point what y equals mx plus b means. I will quickly review it, but you can go back and watch any of the previous videos from module 4. So m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. It is where the graph of the line crosses the y-axis, the vertical line that crosses the y-axis. Okay, so let's see what we do here. We are going to say, what is the input variable x in this word problem? What is the x? Well, you've got a couple of options, right? You've got money and you have time. What have I always said about time? Time is always the x, right? You know what? I have this backwards. This should say independent. I'm just noticing that. I'll fix that when I share the slides with you, but I must have had a brain freeze there. And this is dependent variable. DEP. Sorry about that. You probably are all like out there going, huh, didn't she always say? Yeah. Okay, so now the input variable x is the number of hours Greta uses the studio. And the output variable y is the cost, right? The amount Greta's going to pay for a month of using the studio. Okay. What is the equation for this word problem? Y equals 3x, $3 per hour, x is hours, plus $15 flat fee per month. So 1 month cost is going to be 3x plus 15. $3 per hour, membership fee of $15. Okay, next one. Oh, same one. Let's see what we want to ask this time here. Oh, okay, I just wanted to make that bigger for you. So we've got that. And notice how the 15 is the y-intercept. The 3 is the slope. Okay, that's the rate of change. During April, Greta does not use the equipment at all. What will be her cost for April? What do you think? Well, is she going to have an equipment fee? No, she's not using any of the equipment. Is she going to have a membership fee? She's still going to have to pay the $15. So we're just going to plug in 0 for number of hours of using the equipment. Then always do multiplication first. 3 times 0 is just 0 plus 15. So we can drop the 0. So it'll be y equals $15. So her cost for April will be $15. Greta spends 8 hours in May. What is her cost for May? We're going to plug 8 in for x. 3 times 8 plus 15. So 3 times 8 is 24, plus 15 is 39. Some of you may have the fancier calculators where it automatically does the PEMDAS for you. It does the multiplying before the adding. Go ahead and try that on your calculator, see what happens. If you don't get 39 by plugging the number 3 times 8 plus 15 equals into your calculator, and you don't get 39, then what you need to do is go 3 times 8 equals first, and then add plus 15 after you hit the equals, okay? So you gotta check your calculator out and see if it does PEMDAS. If not, you gotta put the equals in after 3 times 8. You have to do the PEMDAS yourself. So Greta will pay $39 for May. Write an equation from a graph. A video club charges a one-time membership. You're going to start noticing the commonalities in the problems. One-time membership fee plus a rental fee for each DVD borrowed. Use the graph to write an equation. I'll put the graph up in a second here. In slope-intercept form to represent the amount spent, Y, on X DVD rentals. There's our graph. X is always the horizontal, Y is always the vertical. Is this a proportional relationship? No, because it doesn't go through 0, 0. It starts up here somewhere, right? We don't know. What is that number? Well, let's find the slope by choosing 2 points on the graph. So pick 2 points that actually hit lines that cross at the point. Because if you pick something right here, you don't know exactly what that number is. If you pick something right here, you don't know exactly what that number is either. So pick 2 crisscross spots. So we're going to use our slope formula to find the slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 should be very familiar with you right now. Find your 2 points. Where are my 2 points? There they are. There's my first point. That's the y-intercept. That's a nice easy point to pick, isn't it? So that's 0, 8. That line is supposed to be at the 8. I don't know why I didn't quite have my line up to the 8, but it should have been. And then the other point I'm picking is 0.8, 16. That says 18. What did I do on this one? Well, it should be 818, okay? So just pretend like this is 18 here. Actually, maybe I could fix that real quickly. I can just move that up here. Let's see. It should be up a little bit more. And then our line would come a little bit up. And this 0, 8 should move up too. That's bugging me too. So let's move that right away. There. Now I feel better about that. Okay. All right. Back to where we were. So y2 minus y1. We have our 2 points, and now they're in the right spot, and I feel much better. So 18 minus 8 on the top and 8 minus 0 on the bottom. Notice how the 18 and the 8 are a matching set. They have to go one under the other. And I end up doing the calculations and getting 10 over 8. I can reduce that if I wanted to. If I did it on the calculator, I'd go 10 divided by 8 equals 1.25. Now you could leave it as a fraction. However, in a word problem, especially one about cost, you're probably going to want to put it in a decimal format because you're talking about money. So that's why I did 10 divided by 8. I could have reduced this and made it 5/4 if I wanted to, but there's no point in that because that doesn't really help us equate, oh, I can't think of the word, equivalent to a decimal. Anyways, let's keep going. Okay, 1.25 is my slope. Okay, now we're going to find the y-intercept. That's easy peasy on a graph, isn't it? Right there, 0, 8. It's where x equals 0. So 8 is my y-intercept. Okay, so my equation then, just plug in our m and our b. 1.25 is my m, and 8 is my b, my y-intercept. So there's the equation for this situation. Y equals 1.25x plus 8. The hardest part about this is just doing the slope. That's all. And you're real good at that. Okay. Now the question is slope, y-intercept. And my line is off again here on this one. What does the slope mean? The cost for each DVD rental is $1.25. What does the y-intercept mean? There is a one-time membership fee of $8. I'm going to fix this one too while I'm at it. Let's just fix that real quick. I'll pause it so that you don't have to watch me fix it here. Okay, so you notice that I fixed my graph. I also fixed slide 1 where it said independent, dependent, so we're all set. Okay, it'll be your turn now, and you get to try a couple of problems writing some equations. See you back. Pause the video. Okay, welcome back. Let's continue. The rent charge, write an equation from a description. Okay, the rent charge for space in an office building is a linear relationship related to the size of the space rented. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the rent at West Main Street office rentals. Okay, here is West Main Street office rentals. So if you get 600 square feet of office size, you're going to pay $750 for that. If you get 900 square feet, a little bit bigger of an office, you're going to pay $1,150. Okay, and that's going to be the monthly rent. So step 1, find the slope by writing the information given in the problem as ordered pairs. What are ordered pairs? Well, I don't see any ordered pairs in there. Do you? Of course, you should. How about these two numbers? That's one ordered pair, right? And then there's these two numbers. Those are another ordered pair. Now we just have to figure out what comes first. Is it 600, 750? Or is it 750, 600? Do you know? Well, which one is your x? Which one is your independent variable? Well, your input, your independent variable is square feet. Square feet doesn't depend on anything else. However, the cost depends on the square feet that you rent. So that's your output variable, your dependent variable, cost. So now we know what to put first. So 900, 1150 is 1 point, and 600, 750 is the other point. Don't rely on the fact that 600 is listed first here and then 750. You have to think it through because sometimes it might be the other way around. Okay, we put in our slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we get 1150 minus 750 over 900 minus 600. Notice how 1150 and 900 are paired underneath each other, and these two are paired. Do the math, and you get 400 over 300. Since we are talking about cost, we're going to want to put this as a decimal. So 400 divided by 300, or you could do 4 divided by 3 because you can cross off the zeros, is equal to 1.33. That's $1.33. So that is the cost for renting 1 square foot of office space. That's your slope. Now, what's your B? Well, we don't know, right? Y equals 1.33x. 1.33 is your M. But what about B? What's your y-intercept? How do we figure that out? We've already done some IXL on how to do this. So let's do step 2. Find the y-intercept using the slope and one of the points. Doesn't matter which point you pick. Pick one. Got 2 options there. So we're going to plug in one of the points. Probably I'd pick this one. And we're going to plug that in for x. And we're going to plug that in for y. And then all that will be left is solving for b. Let's clear and keep going. So I did put 600 in for x and 750 over here for y. Now I'm going to do my multiplying. 1.33 times 600. That'll give me 798 plus my b. 750 is still on that side. To get b by itself, I'm going to subtract 798 from both sides. Notice how when I subtract 798 from 750, I'm going to get a negative answer. That's okay. B is equal to negative 48. That is my y-intercept. So our equation then is y equals 1.33x minus 48. Why is it minus 48? Because it's a negative number. Okay, you get to try this. I'll see you back in a moment. Okay, let's focus on some higher order thinking. How can you decide which part of a problem will be the dependent variable and which part will be the independent variable, right? And then here's the answer. It popped up already. Think about which variable's amount does not depend on anything else. This will be x, the independent variable or the input. Time is always an x. You won't always have time, but if it is, you know right away. Think about which variable's amount depends on the other. This will be y, the dependent variable or the output. Cost is always a dependent variable. If the situation is not represented by a linear relationship, what must be true about the rate of change? If it's not a line graph, what do you know about the rate of change? What do you know about the slope if you have something like wee, and then wee, and then wee, and wee, like a roller coaster? What do you know about the slope? It goes up, and then it comes down, and then it goes up, and then it comes down, etc., right? So the slope is not the same, right? So the rate of change will not be constant. The graph would have different slopes on different parts of the graph. So I want you to be thinking about that. And now we are done, and I will come back and you will see your homework on Google Classroom. Bye.